Hello and welcome to our modeling video. This first video is why we model, and I will do another video later in the week to show how we model. I think it's important to understand something before I get on board with whatever it is, and so I just want to make sure that I am sharing with you the information that I'm getting from speech therapists and just from some other resources that shows why modeling is helpful and why it's a natural step to use in language. So when you first start doing some modeling, it can feel a little bit uncomfortable, and it kind of feels like, well, you know, we're trying to get our students to talk, so let's just talk a lot to our students. And then they will be able to respond. But there is a graphic here that I wanted to show you. And this graphic is from a resource sent to me by a speech therapist. And it is from Rocket Bay. And so it's their resource. I don't own this resource. I'm just borrowing their graphic for educational purposes. All right, and then so when you are helping someone to build language as a child, when they're first starting to learn how to talk, you give them a lot of spoken language. You're modeling for people all the time how you can speak, and then as infants start to grow and become older, they start to be able to make some of the sounds that you're making, and then they start to be able to speak some of the words that you're speaking. And all the time you are showing them what is the next step in the language. So if someone says ball, you say, oh, you want the ball? And then you might show them too, like, oh, you can say yes, you can say no. And you show them the movements with it as well. Well, that's something that we need to be doing with our AAC device users, so our people with the devices. When we just use spoken language, then it's very difficult to take the spoken language and transfer it to an aided language output, like using a device. So if you just speak to them, if you speak to your students, then you're not going to just get someone able to use their device perfectly. So what our students really need the most is for someone to use their device, do some aided language where you are speaking the words that you want to say and want to communicate on your student's device so that they can see how that works. And then the output will be that your student will use aided language. And then, you know, it says there too, if you're using both and someone is a device user, and then there might be some people that can do like a one word, or that they're able to do that. They might do some spoken language too. Some input from some speech therapists and just some resources I've looked into. So the devices, they're expensive, and there can kind of be this tendency to be really careful with them, and to maybe, you know, even just the idea too that, okay, this is my student's voice, I don't really want to encroach on that. And that is a perfectly reasonable way to feel. But if you kind of think about it this way, that your student doesn't know always how to use the words, and what you're doing is you're helping them to gain that skill, then that makes it feel a little bit better. Definitely don't be afraid to mess up when you're doing some modeling for aided language, because you can just say, oh, whoops, that's not what I meant to say. Let's go back. And then you can say whatever it was that you meant to say too. Definitely, it's not something that's going to always come naturally, and it's not always going to be easy, but it is something that is going to be helpful for your students in being able to use their device. Some other things that are good to think about when we are doing modeling are that, so when you first start talking, you say one word at a time. When a student first starts using their device, they typically start with maybe like one word at a time. Or if they are using multiple words, it's probably because that's the path that has been programmed. So they might, because they know that something's under their I want category that they want, they might do more. But if you do have a lot of buttons and you've got want somewhere and then you've got things that they might want somewhere else, your student might just go to immediately to requesting or immediately to whatever it is that they want to say, wherever they want to end. So what you can do there is you can take whatever it is that they're saying, the one word or the couple words that they would say, and just add one more piece to it. So if they say ball, you could say want ball. You want the ball. So on the device, you would model want ball. If they already say want ball, you could say I want ball, or she wants ball, or something like that. Just always doing one more piece. You can try to show your student slowly, slow enough that they can be tracking with you when you're doing the modeling. And I've seen some parents do a really wonderful job of this too, kind of helping your student to have their head positioned appropriately so that they can see, and then they know what it is that you are showing them. If you are modeling and your student's not seeing it, it's just not as valuable for them because they didn't see where you went to say those things. When you are modeling on the AAC device, your kind of focus is more on the modeling on the device, but you can use your other words to fill up in the gaps. So I wouldn't probably on a student's device say, I want the red ball until they got to the point where they said, I want ball. But you could say, like if someone says want ball, you could say, I want ball on the device, and just say, I want, and then with your voice say the red, and then on the device say ball. So things like that where you can just fill in with your spoken language whenever it doesn't work to say it on the device. And then you can also, this is really, it kind of feels silly maybe when you start to do this, but it's really helpful too. If you say out loud what you're thinking and then you show on the device, that's a really good way to kind of pique your students' interest. And then you talk about where you want to go to find those words. So, okay, I want to take a drink. I think I should go to the I want to eat, and then I've got all these options, you know, and you can just show them as you're talking through it. So some big takeaways here are just to feel comfortable with modeling. Like it might feel a little bit different, but definitely don't be afraid to do it, because it is the best way for students to learn. All that input is how we learn to speak, having a lot of input for years, and then we are able to have that be an output. So there might be a large time period where you are just modeling, but then you'll see that output eventually there too, as that starts to connect. Some other strategies that we can just talk through. I'll show you this more in my next video. I'll show you how to do these things using a page set for a device. And I think I'm going to use two different ones and kind of show you some of the time on one student's page set and sometime on the other student's page set, and just show you that. Some other strategies though are expectant delay. So just waiting for your student to be able to communicate. You can if they've been kind of prompted, you don't have to immediately say, oh, go find that, go say that, that kind of a thing. But you could instead just give them some time, just see if they do, and maybe just like show them where to go to do that. You can also ask some open-ended questions, things that maybe aren't a yes, no, like things like how do you feel, or what happened, or things like that. And then when your student does say anything with their device, go ahead and show them on their device more that you can say. So someone says eat, then be like, yes, we're going to eat some, and then you could find cake, or we're going to eat some vegetables. So all of those are good things to be able to do when you are modeling. And I will show you more on the next parent video, staff video, how to do that. And so please let me know if there is anything that I didn't make clear, or if you have any questions. I hope this is helpful to you, and I will show you more on the next video.